And 4th of July celebrations are possible because of the brave battles that took place just north of here back in 1777. The Battles of Saratoga were a turning point in the American Revolution. News 10's Lydia Colbita showing us tonight how they changed the course of the war.
The war got off to a really good start. Washington forces the British out of Boston, but after that the British came back with the largest amphibious force in the history of the world. So when 1777 dawns, the British are planning to crush the rebellion, and a lot in America would have thought that was going to happen.
But the British didn't crush the rebellion, and Garrett Clower, program manager for interpretation and visitor experience at Saratoga National Historical Park in Stillwater, explains how the Battles of Saratoga became one of the most important, pivotal events of the American Revolution, starting with the landscape here.
There were farms, but there was a lot of woods. It was an enemy's country that they were marching through, trying to get to Albany. But you also had great leadership. You had easier lines of communication. Washington is able to detach reinforcements to come to the north and help. Some of the most important troops, like Daniel Morgan's riflemen, were detached from Washington's army to come up here and help. Benedict Arnold was, I think, generally recognized as the most effective field commander in the Continental Army. Washington had sent him up here to bring that expertise. He was a very aggressive commander, and that worked perfectly well with General Gates, whose characteristics were more of a defensive nature. So the two of them working together was just this perfect mixture.
But that perfect mixture did not lead to an American win in the first battle on September 19th.
Over here is some of Morgan's riflemen marching in towards the first battle. They used rifles instead of muskets, so they could shoot more accurately at long distances, and you can tell they're very determined as they're heading off to the first battle through the woods.
They sought refuge in those same woods after being pushed back by the British, firing from the tree line until the Redcoats followed, continuing their attack. But by the time of the Second Battle of Saratoga, weeks later, on October 7th,
they were running out of food, their animals were starving, and so Burgoyne tries something. It goes very badly, leads to the Second Battle of Saratoga, also known as the Battle of Bemis Heights, which ends up being a resounding American victory. We have the climactic scene of the entire campaign and of the Second Battle of Saratoga. On horseback is mounted Benedict Arnold leading a group of riflemen around the left end of the German fortification, and those men in blue coats are actually German auxiliaries who are running for their lives from the Americans. This was shocking to see those well-trained soldiers running from the Americans, and this directly leads to the surrender of that army. The first time in history that an entire British army like this will surrender.
The surrender site in Schuylerville, a few miles north of Saratoga National Historical Park, marks the location where British General Burgoyne met General Gates and handed over his sword. The Battles of Saratoga were over. But the war now becomes global.
It is one of the things that convinces the French to formally recognize American independence and begin supporting us out in the open. A lot of the weapons during this battle were of French origin, but the French were doing it secretly. Now it came out in the open. It completely changed the war.
Wow, that's just amazing. Lydia Colbita reporting, and
I didn't know how
all,
nearly that
all right
much
in our
about
backyard.
Saratoga.
And it's, you know, important on a day like today too to remember, you know, all of that happening is why we're able to have our celebrations today and tonight. So
Of course.
yeah.
Well, it certainly